Well, good day and welcome to the University of Freedom. My name is Justin Kurtz. I'm going to be your teacher for today, and we're going to be discussing financial management and financial literacy. In America right now, and really around the world, we have a serious financial challenge. We are spending just like crazy. Our national debt is somewhere estimated around, I don't know, $99 trillion. And despite some upticks in the economy, there are still some serious challenges ahead for those who are not either wealthy financially or do not have financial success. And one of the great things about the University of Freedom is we offer you an opportunity to apply the teaching of leadership and personal growth and financial management into a business opportunity if that's something you're looking for. And the reason that's important is because a lot of people are like, well, I don't have the money to go into business. I don't have the money to invest in my business to be able to buy the tools that I need or to get the wisdom that I need or to purchase advertising. And so when you put these principles to work, whatever your business is, you're going to find that you have greater wealth than what you knew. And even if you put these principles to use just in your personal life and you don't even have a business and you're not even interested in increasing your income, you just want to get more out of what you have, then these 10 skills, and these are skills, these are things you can learn, they're going to help you out significantly. And we here at the University of Freedom are all about providing you with access to great training information. And you can get where I got this from. I used to be a subscriber to a company called Life, which is Living Intentionally for Excellence. And one of their areas is financial management. I've also brought in recordings from other people. Dave Ramsey's a great way to learn about finances. But the main principle that you really want to learn is that you have to control your finances. And it doesn't matter how much money you make because there are broke millionaires. In fact, you can go do a search and see just how many millionaires go bankrupt. In fact, most uh, people who win the lottery end up in serious, worse financial position than what they had before. And so my goal is to help you learn that when you do get rich, how to keep it, right? Because there's nothing worse than losing everything once you get it. So let's talk about these 10 things, and I'm going to use some notes here to kind of help me make sure that I stay on task. The first one is to identify your net income. Now, a lot of people go by their if-come. Well, if I do this and I get my bonus, or well, I make 40,000 a year, but you're not subtracting out your taxes, you're not subtracting out those things. So you really have to look at the bottom line. One of the 10 principles of successful thinking is to have bottom line thinking. John Maxwell teaches you got to look at the bottom line. So what's your personal bottom line? So step number one is identify your net income. And if you don't know what net versus gross is, then you're going to have to go figure that out. And so make sure you do that first. So look at your net income. That's how much you actually bring home every week or 2 weeks or a month. All right, and then you're going to document all expenses. That's step number two. I got to figure out how to get my finger in the camera properly. Step number two is to document all your expenses. And that includes taxes. That includes those fixing the vehicle, the oil changes, all those line item details. Again, you're in the business of you. You as an individual, as a family unit, as whomever you are representing by watching this, you are responsible for uh, these things, for paying for these things, for fixing the truck, for fixing the car, for paying for your kids' shoes, for getting new clothes every year. All those things that you spend, you really need to try to document and put towards your net income so you can see, okay, at the end of every month, I have this much, or I need to save in an envelope separately for, say, insurance every month, or new clothes, or upcoming glasses, whatever it is. You've got to have those line item expenses so that you understand, okay, of my net income, how much of that is going out the window. And unfortunately, most of us are spending more than what we make, and that's why we have credit card debt. And so we talked. If you're on my subscribers list, you got an email from me today, which who knows when you're watching this, so that's kind of silly. But anyway, I sent out a thing about goal setting today. And so tip number three, or skill number 3 is to set financial goals. I mean, how many of you have said, I want more money? Well, that's not really a goal. That's not specific. That's not tied to anything, and you can't measure it. It's not a SMART goal. Yes, again, goals need to be SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So a better way to say it is, by the end of November, I want to increase my income by $5,000 through my online business or through my empowerment network by selling to all ends. And actually, you can make about $3,000 of income from just one all in. But for me personally, I want to sell two all ins this month. That's my financial goal. Okay, and so you can set those kinds of things. You need to set those, and I would definitely recommend setting an income goal and an expense goal to where, okay, I make this much now. I want to increase it by this much, but I also want to reduce expenses by a certain amount. Because when you do both, then you create the greater gap between expenses and income, and the greater that gap, that's your wealth, right? So this is expenses, this is income, right? So we want to make sure that wealth is being created, because wealth is buying your time back. Robert Kiyosaki says the true measure of wealth is how long you can go without having more income come in, how long you can pay your bills. And again, my personal goal is to be so financially stable that I could make no money at all and still survive and flourish and have a wonderful life. That is my personal goal, and I want to help teach other people how to do that. I want to help bring other people along with me. So step number 4, after you've identified your net income, you've documented all your expenses, you've set goals of how to set that gap, you got to learn to not finance things. Right? It's so tempting in our world to zero down, right? 90 days, same as cash. We've got all these opportunities to get ourselves into debt. And you've got to learn to avoid those. Because when you finance things, and again, things that depreciate. Now, I don't know what appreciates that you can finance, right? Because cars don't appreciate, motorcycles do not appreciate, houses do not always appreciate. So looking at these things and saying, well, I'm not going to finance anything that's an expense that costs me money. That's step number 4. Step number 5 is setting your limits on your spending. Right, okay, so you've identified your net income. You know how much your expenses are, and you've got this difference every month of, say, $100. We'll just keep the math simple. You have an extra $100 every month. Well, out of that extra $100, are you going to go spend it all at once? Or are you going to say, well, I'm only going to spend $5 a week, and then I want to save some of that, or I want to put some of that towards something else, or maybe I want to spend that on advertising for my business. No matter what it is, you want to set a spend limit. So again, if you've got $100 at the end of every month, we're not going to spend anything over 25, let's say, or 10. And again, maybe you've got much higher income. I'm sure you're making a lot more money and you've got more than $100 left over every month. And so you might be able to set that up. I know some wealthy people that are like, well, we won't spend over $500 on a whim. We have to sleep on it. Whatever limit works for you, just make sure it's something that, okay, I'm going to sleep on this. I'm not going to spend over this amount, no matter what it is, no matter how flashy it is, no matter how great or wonderful it is, until I slept on it and prayed about it and really know that this is something worth spending that money on. And looking in the opportunity cost. What is the cost of spending this money versus investing it or spending it on my business or doing something else, personal improvement, buying new books, whatever it is. So step number 5 is set limits on your spending. Step 6 is pay off your credit cards and use cash. I don't know anybody that doesn't spend more with a credit card. And it's so easy. It happens so fast. I didn't have credit cards for a long time, and I got one just because, we may want to buy a house again. We might finance it. So we're just playing around with some building of credit. I used to not care at all about credit. Okay, I'll improve it a little bit. Well, then I went out of control again, and I got another $1,000 racked up on a credit card overnight like that. So we highly recommend that you actually put an X on the credit cards. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of marketers that are going to promote. There's a lot of other coaches out there that are going to be like, I just put it on the credit card because they want your money. Well, I don't want your money if you're going to go so far into debt that if I cannot help you get rich, you're going to hate me in life because I put you in more debt or encourage you to to add more debt to your life. I don't want to do that. I want you to be financially free and to breathe easy because you don't have that weight of debt crushing your body, right? And so number six, pay off credit cards, use cash. Number seven, just before you save anything, before you put any money into your 401k, before you save a nickel, you shouldn't have any debt. Anything that's costing you interest should be paid off before you worry about saving. There is nothing that you can invest in to save that is going to outrun compounding interest. It's plain, it's simple mathematical formulas. You are not able at 2% to outpace the 8% interest on your mortgage. It's simple math, okay? So that's one's pretty simple. So you're going to identify your net income. You're going to document your expenses. You're going to set financial goals. You're going to never finance things that depreciate. You're going to set limits on your spending. That's number five. Number six, you're going to pay off your credit cards and start using cash. Number seven, you're going to get rid of all your consumer debt. That's all your credit cards. That's all your mortgage. That's your car loans, all the student loans, all anything that charges you interest. You're going to get rid of first. Number eight is you're going to educate yourself on the difference between an investment and an expense. Right? And actually, you might want to bump that one up. And again, these are just principles. You have to apply them accordingly. But you need to know what is the difference between an expense and an investment. I like motorcycles. I bought a motorcycle. It's this old, it's a nice old shovel, right? It's worth something because they don't make them anymore. Well, it's not. It's an expense. It cost me oil changes. It cost me insurance. It cost me to just have it sitting there, not riding it. And then every time I ride it or utilize it, it would actually cost me something and would actually risk the depreciation by blowing up a motor or damaging it or getting in a wreck or whatever. And so then I was risking my supposed investment. Right, so then I had to learn what's the difference between an investment and an expense, and I got rid of my expenses and I sold all my motorcycles. Not because I don't like riding, but because at the time I was not bringing in more income, and so I needed to get rid of more expenses so that I could expand my gap. This is where you want to expand the gap between again income and expenses, right? So when I was here, I sold my motorcycle, and I sold my next one. I got there. Right? Makes sense because no more insurance bills, no more tires I had to save up for. I used to have to save almost $200 a month just for maintenance to maintain the oil changes and all that sort of thing. So educate yourself on the difference of that, and then focus your long-term vision. Your long-term plan needs to include quality of life and peace of mind. Right? You don't want to be one of these people that you're bringing in so much income and you're bringing in, and you're constantly, I got to get more, got to get more, got to get more, got to get more, to where you're still working 90 hours a week and you're not really enjoying any of it. Right? There's no point in having it if you aren't able to enjoy any of it and you aren't able to relax and say, well, this is life and it's enjoyable and I can spend time with my family. No, if you're just creating a lifestyle that's got you busy, 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 then that's not going to be a wealth lifestyle, right? You just have a bunch of cash. It doesn't mean anything because you don't have any real riches in your life because you're not spending any quality time and you have no peace of mind. So focus on that. And number 10 is to bless others, right? The goal isn't to hoard wealth and to say it's all mine, right? It's to be a blessing to other people, whether it be through supporting a missionary at your church, going on a mission yourself, taking care of family that you've always wanted to be able to help. Like, I've got some financial goals that when I hit those, I want to be able to take my whole family on a cruise. Even my brothers-in-law, right? Even the people that in my family and I'm not really all that fond of, I'd love to be able to take them on a cruise and show them a peaceful, wealthy lifestyle so that they can be encouraged to do the same thing. And to stop just doing it for me and my family, but immediate family, but to kind of extend that. And I hope that you do the same thing. And I hope you look at this like, okay, when I know how much I make, I know what my expenses are, and I set those financial goals, that those goals include a peace of mind attitude and the ability to bless others. Because when you set those goals to be a blessing to others, and you know that when I do this work, when I make this sacrifice to build my business or to reduce my expenses and to cut my costs and to pay off my consumer debts and to do all these things and to educate myself. When you do all that, when you set all those goals, you can't help but be successful at them when you apply the principles every day. Now, one real quick tip that really did make a huge difference in the first two, the identifying your net income and then documenting your expenses. I thought I was doing really good. I had a budget, right? And what the heck happened? Why is it that I, on paper, every month should have $400? I don't know what it was, but I was supposed to have all this extra money every month. And where was it? It wasn't in the account at the end of the month. And so when I documented what my budget for expenses were, but I didn't document what I was actually spending. When I really looked and said, wow, we're spending $300 more a month on food than what we've got budgeted. That's where all our money's going. We're eating it all, right? Because we're saying we're only going to spend $400 a month on groceries and we're spending seven. That is why it's important to do these things, because once I was able to do that, I was able to, okay, we cut the credit cards and we stopped using debit cards even because it was so easy to just, and we never saw that extra go. So we took the money out and we put it in a little envelope and we said, this is our grocery envelope. And we stick that in the truck. And then we took out another envelope and said, this is our gas budget. And we stuck that in an envelope and put that in the truck. And we said, okay, when these are out, we're done. We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. We can't buy any more groceries. And we set those firm limits. And you're going to have to do the same. And I want to be here to help you. That's what this community is all about. That's what the University of Freedom is all about, is not only to give you the information that you need, to not only help you go to better sources of information and learn from people who have money and how to manage that, but also give you the opportunity to increase your income because sometimes you do have to. Right? Sometimes there is a, man, my expenses, no matter what I do, they just keep increasing and I can't control it. The government said they were going to give me free health care and it cost me $5,000 more a year, right? We have these things and these challenges that happen. Oh man, I had an unexpected incident. I wasn't expecting to have to pay the insurance deductible because I wasn't planning on getting in a car wreck. Right, so maybe saving aside, this is the insurance deductible. You put it again in a cash envelope somewhere and say emergency only, right? Whatever it is you got to do. Listen, I want to help you with that. I hope these 10 principles of identifying your net income, documenting your expenses, setting financial goals, not financing things that depreciate, paying off your credit cards, setting your limits on spending, sleeping on anything over that limit, wiping out your consumer debt before you try to save a dime, educating yourself on the difference between investments and expenses, focusing on your quality of life and peace of mind, and being a blessing to others is something that you want to do, and I hope that you join me in doing that and share this video and teach other people these 10 principles for financial success. And you have a great day, and again, thank you for joining the University of Freedom as we discuss financial intelligence.